Hi guys, hey, and welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host Jason Lee, and we are joined today with Dave Weaver, the president and founder of the Houston Regional Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Dave, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks Jason for having me.
And guys, we can't talk about the critical nature and importance of our veterans, both when they are in service, but more importantly, out of service and inside of our communities. And today is about bringing awareness and communicating the story behind Dave's mission to help spread awareness behind the needs of the veteran community and getting them into larger organizations, serving, and really helping the business owners. Because a lot of guys get out of the military, correct, Dave? They're trying to figure out where to go, trying to figure out what to do, and then they maybe carve a path, but they don't know all the resources that are available to help them get there. So you're going to share a little bit of your story, kind of share a little bit about how you guys do that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So we're glad to have you. Why don't you give us a quick background? And right before the show, you were telling me kind of your mission and where it kind of originated from. Maybe you can just give our audience a little bit of background before we dive into the agenda.
Sure. Dave Weaver. So I was Air Force and Army, flew the on the RC-135s and C-130s as a navigator. I was stationed all over, got to deploy 7 times with the Air Force, and then I became too old for the Air Force to go to pilot training, so I switched over to the services and went to the Army, and I was able to have the honor to fly the Apache.
Oh, wow.
So I got to deploy that and went on one deployment with the Apache, and then stayed on home station, and then retired out in 2016.
Okay, fantastic. And then from there, you shared a little bit of a story about how you kind of got into your space and then what really kind of awakened you to the need of veteran business owners. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. So coming out of the military, again transitioning, so I was a pilot on the outside as I'm dual rated. Flew pipelines here in Houston. Decided, Houston was my place since we have so much opportunity here in Houston.
Right.
And so I started helping out that, but my dad had stage 4 lung cancer, so I wanted to help my family. So I became a financial planner, got all my licenses, and and then some. Working on my CFP now, but now and I wanted to find more of my veterans, but also veteran business owners, because they think differently, and they are doing some successful and amazing things and helping them with their 401ks. But now it's and then so I wanted to find an organization that really kind of supported that awareness of a veteran-owned business, and I really had a hard time finding it. There are pockets of organizations that are doing some amazing work to help that veteran business grow, but there's no really big ecosystem to tie them into. So we started going around, what kind of naming system do we want to use? What would look at economic development of a veteran economy. And I'm like, okay, well, a chamber of commerce makes sense, so let's take the best of a lot of these different worlds of a chamber of commerce, an economic development type of corporation, and also have a veteran cause behind it. And how do we take the best of all the worlds and grow the veteran economy and make the public, general passionate patriots aware of a veteran-owned business that's in their backyard, but also the corporations to be able to find and source from a veteran-owned company that's right here, ready to meet their capacity and their supplier diversity.
Fantastic. So I think we can probably all agree, whenever you get the opportunity and you're trying to make a choice between which business to do business with, and if you're just looking on the outside and you know nothing about the companies, if that one organization is branded as a veteran organization, typically, again, especially here in our state, you're going to find people who are more inclined to want to do business with the veterans.
Yes.
And frankly, you mentioned it earlier before the show, there's certain things I can say, having worked around many of them and having experienced many of them, a lot of them do great things here. Most of the time when you meet a legislative person or somebody, they've served in our military forces. But I would say that probably the biggest thing that stands out is you can expect a certain level of reliability. Right. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I think it comes out from our military service, and thank you for recognizing that as some of the qualities that as we come out of the service. The military is great at programming, right? They program us to be that certain way and be diligent, be mindful, be respectful, be on time, be prideful in your work, take pride in your uniform, do the right thing, have the right honor code. integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. That's the Air Force motto. And so, coming out of the service, we have to try to now unplug from the service mindset to the civilian mindset, and still carry our core values forward and transitioning. So depending on if you're transitioning as an officer or versus an enlisted, there's several opportunities, and how do we plug those veterans in that want to go work for an employer as a W-2 to be able to utilize those skill sets and transition correctly. But there's some other opportunities for them. I see that there's a lot of these veterans that do really well in creating businesses because they are structured. They have a framework. Now it's capitalizing on that skill set. It's not necessarily the verbs that change, it's the nouns that change.
Right.
That's all. And you're just plugging away. I can change they can go into the oil and gas industry, the finance industry, the manufacturing industry, the shipping industry, or the consumer industry or the restaurant industry, and apply those skill sets to running a business. And that's where this is kind of going, is helping them find that structure, but also find other veterans that we share a common story. We're at the same basic training nonetheless, right? We had DIs, we had those skill sets. We deployed in certain combat zones. We understand each other. We speak a certain language within the military community. So how do we come together as that community, creating a robust and sustainable veteran business ecosystem?
Fantastic. So I love the fact that you talk about the fundamentals, right? If you're going to go hire an employee, you'd want those basic characteristics that are instilled in the military. Then the challenge is, though, they get out and maybe they have a chance to start a business. Maybe they want to take some of their craft and create a business around it, roofing, anything that they can apply. But then all of a sudden they have to figure out how to market. They have to learn now how to do people development, and there's probably a lot of training development in the military. But then inside of that, you've got how do you operate a business, right? So if you get out, there's not like a business educational platform for transition from the military, right?
There is not. However, there's plenty of other resources out there that they can plug into. They're just not aware of it.
There you go.
So we are making the veterans that are transitioning, but also the veterans that have been in business for the last 15, 20 years, aware of resources that they could have tapped into, but now they can.
Fantastic.
Or how about a veterans designation? I've got a couple people, a couple of veteran business owners on my board, and they have done some amazing work. But until they kind of really plugged into the chamber and said, why do I want? I love what we're doing, but I've never thought of getting my veterans designation, or putting it on my card, or putting it on my website, or putting it on my capability statement that I'm veteran owned.
Right.
But she goes, now I do, and that's a success story, because now you're not only saying that you're veteran owned, helping people recognize that, but you're helping the next guy that goes, hey, I'm a veteran owned too. I'm a veteran owned too. Helping them come out of the woodwork, and join forces to be able to do business together, synergize, right? So I'm a roofer. Maybe you're an AC guy, you're a drywall guy, you're an electrician, you're a plumber. Why don't we do business together? Right. Now we can grow I hear about opportunities that you don't hear about. They hear about opportunities that I don't hear about. So let's do this together. And so banding together, being that collective, creating those awareness of the resources that are out there, from the veteran designation, access to capital, access to education, right? Access to an alliance like the Economic Alliance here, the Greater Houston Partnership, just plugging them in. And then on the flip side is making that public awareness of the veteran business, hey, look for that veteran-owned business if you can. How do I make it easy for you to find that veteran-owned business? Be that our veteran business directory or our veteran business interactive map. You can search. Or we go into the corporations. How do I make the corporations easier to identify a veteran, but also measure and count a veteran business owner? Are you asking the question? Are you a veteran-owned business? You probably have a bunch of suppliers in your whole procurement office that you don't even know that's a veteran-owned business. Right. Are we asking the right question? Are we setting a veteran spend goal within your supplier diversity model? We count under, and, certain veterans count, especially service disabled, count under the HUB program.
Oh, fantastic.
So why not utilize, and veterans overall fit in that economic development of the supplier diversity.
So okay, real quick, so for somebody that maybe doesn't know, you mentioned the HUB program. Can you explain that real quick?
Yeah, so HUB program is really historically underutilized businesses, and if
Gotcha.
you are service disabled, you fit within that HUB program. But then there's some other stuff that, as a veteran-owned business, you can fit into because you are a designated or certified veteran-owned. Somebody else has looked at you, the VA Veterans First program, or which is going to transfer over to the SBA soon. Or the Texas Veterans Commission has looked at you and said, hey, you are a veteran. So now that company can go, okay, I know he's a veteran. He's not stealing honor.
Right.
He
Which is probably sad to say, but I'm sure there are people who do that.
Yes, yeah. There are people that do that, and so again, we've got to come back to the core values or the core, the honor code, and say, hey, we've got to do the right thing, right. And you've got to keep the others out because, hey, you weren't a veteran. You didn't sign that dotted line possibly for your life.
Right.
You are not part of the DD 214 club.
Right.
You just didn't get it.
Right.
So we're helping them, the veterans, and also trying to make sure that they're get certified and verified as a veteran-owned company.
Fantastic. So great insight, and I think before we get out of here, I want to make sure we get some opportunity to talk a little bit about like how people can find you and get plugged in, right? If they are veterans or they are listening to the show. But you did have a couple of big events that were coming up, some significant things that were happening. Why don't we take some time to share that?
Sure, absolutely. We actually just finished the Veterans Business Expo, the first annual,
Awesome.
And it was backed by the city and the mayor. We had a press conference with the mayor on it. So it is one of his shout outs that we want to be able to move and his initiatives. But we want to become the #1 city for veteran entrepreneur and owner support here in the Houston region. So, and we had 103 exhibitors at the
Wow.
expo. We had procurement officers there. We had breakout sessions there. We had a keynote speaker or a reception. We had probably 600 to 700 people come through and shop and become aware of veteran-owned businesses.
Wow.
Right here in our community that are doing so. So I think we wound up having almost 40 veteran business owners that do B2B type activities.
Wow.
Which is awesome because that's where the procurement officers or contracting officers can plug into, and we provided those procurement officers, contracting officers with a binder with all of the capability statements of those veteran-owned businesses because I want to make it easy.
Right.
I want to make it easy for those corporations to do business with the veterans.
That's awesome.
So that was an amazing event.
Yeah, and then you guys have another thing coming up
Yes.
on the 29th?
Yep, the 29th and 30th of October, we have a Veterans Business Marketplace in the center of Wings Over Houston, which is one of the top 5 air shows in the country.
Oh, wow.
So 100,000 people come through the Wings Over Houston. They're going to have the Blue Angels this year,
Sweet.
which with their new Super Hornet. It's already got record-breaking ticket sales, so I think this is going to be a blowout year for them. And we're putting maybe a 40 by 60 tent in the middle of Wings Over Houston to be able to showcase maybe 30 veteran-owned businesses in front of 100,000 people in 2 days. So
That's great.
Veterans Business Marketplace, making the public aware, hey, there's veterans right in our backyard. Let's find them. Let's bring them to the surface. Let's go do business with them.
So I gotta ask you though, for a former pilot, like we're all blown away when we see guys like the Blue Angels because we've never been in planes like that. Mm-hmm. So when you guys are normally flying, do you have guys that come out of like flight school that excel at that type of, like, what does a guy like you think when you see guys like the Blue Angels? I'm just curious.
Oh, I think it's still amazing.
Okay.
I am always amazed at all the different airframes. My head is always in the clouds.
Oh yeah.
I'm always looking up, identifying airplanes, want to be around them. It's just a different feeling. That's kind of, and once the pilot bug bites you, you can't get rid of it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of it becomes a passion. It becomes something that you can relate with other people. And pilot speak is different than anybody else's speak, just like the military. And so, the military pilots speak different, and that camaraderie. We talk about all kinds of different things. You know, how do we get better? It's always a positive mindset. It's always a safety mindset, because as a pilot, right, you know, you either got yourself, you got people involved, you got, and then you got to be able to rely on a team. And that's one thing that veterans are really good at, is building teams and relying on that crew chief, that guy that, you know, loads the missile, the armament guy, the guy that launches you. All that's done, and you can concentrate on your skill set, your mission. You don't have to worry about your six. Right. That guy's got you.
Right.
So that's why I like doing business with veterans, because I know they have my six. I know that they're going to hopefully do the right thing for me as another veteran, or, you know, whoever they do business with.
That's
they are
awesome.
doing the right thing. They want to do the right thing. That's just part of what's ingrained, what's programmed into them.
So kind of like if you think about like the Better Business Bureau, right, and how they serve, you know, their job is, you know, you get kind of rated through the BBB, and if you're highly rated, then you get to kind of carry that shield.
Yes.
Is there a system in place, just like there is, in, you know, for example, you were mentioned the fact that, you know, y'all certified people so that you could say they are a certified business owner. Well, what if you're a business owner who is certified veteran, but also your business is doing bad stuff, right? Do they have a process by which you guys can investigate or explore that? Or is that not out there yet?
That is not necessarily out there yet.
Okay.
It's something that we are talking with and being able to work through, because there are some things that we want to make sure that we don't do, because it also puts in some liabilities.
Gotcha.
So we don't want to take on maybe that responsibility.
Maybe that's not yours.
That's
right,
maybe not ours. Right. But if there's other organizations, but you can also take off their designation if there are things like that.
Gotcha. So you could do that.
Yes, right. But
because I would think that with the mission of trying to drive awareness and being that, you know, like we talked about, it, some people will be shady and perhaps use the veteran name without even being a veteran, which is god awful. But then at the same token, if you're out delivering horrible service, but you got that kind of brand on the front, you certainly don't want to do that either, right?
Correct.
So it's like
so it weeds we kind of weed ourselves out, right?
Awesome.
So we, again, when you have a community come together, you know, that really draws, hey, I'm doing the right thing, I need to do the right thing. So it kind of elevates everybody.
There you go.
What is the standard? Here, set the standard, set the bar high, and everything else kind of weeds itself out. Yeah, you're going to have your bad apples, but, you know, it's really a minuscule compared to the entire thing. So
awesome.
Let's concentrate on the 95, the 97% rather than the 3% that, you know, aren't doing the right thing. But we can take care of those later. But let's concentrate on that 97 that are doing some amazing work. And we're not a certifying agency, but we plug them into the certifying agency.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I don't want to put us in that position either. But we want to make awareness of that veteran-owned business.
So essentially, you're a hub of resources.
Hub of resources, a hub of connections, building relationships, and growing the veteran business collective with passionate patriots, with our VSOs or veteran service organizations, with our first responders, to grow their businesses together. Because part of the chamber, you don't have to be a veteran to be part of the chamber.
Okay.
You can be a passionate patriot. You can be a first responder.
Oh, that's great.
You can be a military spouse. And let's talk about the military spouse real quick. They serve in their own way.
Right.
Right? So they were married to a veteran, you know, during service. They're a military spouse on the outside. They fight their own wars when that service member is deployed. They got to take care of the children. They got to take care of the household when that service member is deployed. That military spouse has moved several times, so they're probably good at logistics. You know, they're good about organizing.
Right.
So let's not discount. So there's a couple other things that we're kind of initiatives that we're going to work on. You know, helping military spouses, military spouse owned businesses do things, right, because they can. Some of them are, again, doing some amazing work and plugging them into an ecosystem. We want to be able to help that too. So that is part of our structure and part of our mission.
Right, and I love it. And I think when you think about just the sacrifice that goes into serving our country, but then the sacrifice that goes into the spouse of someone who serves our country, months without your loved one.
15 months?
Yeah, I mean, God, that's just
out there. How about the sea guys?
Right.
You know, they're 6 months out to sea.
Right.
maybe 9 months.
And you kind of, it's hard because you're left to, like you said, to take care of the house. So the thought of perhaps pursuing other things might not be, opportune during that season.
Yeah.
So now you're fast forwarding 10, 20, 15 years down the road, and now you're out in the world going, okay, what do we do next?
Yes, or they let's say they're a nurse or a PA or some licensed, right? So but then when they move 3 years later to Texas or Oklahoma or whatever state, now they got to it takes another year to get relicensed.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got to make it easier for the military spouses to transition into different states without having that barrier. But maybe they open a business so they can expand their network, but still operate the household. They're great at building teams. They're great because the spouses come together, taking care of the entire base while people are deployed.
Wow.
So that's just one thing that we think about as we kind of grow this ecosystem to plug everybody in the hub of resources. Some amazing work's being done out there. Let's continue to grow that.
I love it. And then so for the rest of the audience, as we get ready to wrap up, can you share a little bit more about how they can get plugged in? Like, where do you guys meet? What's the easiest way if I'm a veteran or if I want to learn more about how to serve your organization by perhaps hiring veterans or getting them plugged in, into my organization? How do I get connected with you guys?
Absolutely, I appreciate that, Jason. How do you get plugged in? You can look up the Houston Regional Veterans Chamber of Commerce, or you can houveteranschamber.org. You can follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and you plug in there. You can find out more about our mission and our vision of where we want to grow this, to be able to get the veteran business owners counted and measured, and also eventually we want to see the economic development impact that we have on the GDP here in the Houston region. So how they plug in, volunteer at some of these events. We've got several other events that are planned out. We have a community leaders roundtable that we invite community leaders to have a discussion that has a stake in the veteran economy. We have not only roundtables but strategy sessions. We're getting ready to start some councils, Supplier Diversity Council for Veterans, and a couple other things. And we've got some social events that are out there. You just get plugged in, volunteer. Plenty of positions available. However you want to serve, I want to be able to make sure that they feel fulfilled when they serve. I don't want to plug them into some place that they don't want to serve. I want them to serve where they feel fulfilled.
Fantastic. Well, if you're in the audience, we want you to be connected to Dave. Make sure too, at the same time, that you take this opportunity to take this episode, and if you feel like it needs to be in somebody's hands, that you communicate that as well. Before we get ready to wrap up here, I think you just have some great principles that have served you, and I really want to make sure that we share those, because I think that our audience needs to hear that, but also if you have a moment to share any gratitude that you have, we'd love to hear that as well.
Gratitude. That is probably something that I celebrate every day as I get up, right? Because we wouldn't be here without our Lord, but we wouldn't be here without all of our family. We wouldn't be here. So gratitude, hey, I made it to work today, I got a cup of coffee, always having a gratitude mindset or a positive mindset. And so things like that of paving the way forward. I wanted to make sure that our veterans are supported, not from that we have our challenges, absolutely. However, there are some amazing things that our veterans are doing, so we want to celebrate those success stories.
Fantastic.
So thank you for those. Thank you for those veterans that paved the way prior to our service, that are currently serving, and those veterans, soon-to-be veterans, that are going to be joining the military, because we want to protect our freedoms. So I'm just grateful that we have such a country that loves our veterans, and a country that we can be proud to serve because of the people that we are our family. And so I'm just gratitude that we have such a that we put it on our money, we put it on our in God we trust. We are here to serve, and so that service mindset is just absolutely wonderful.
That's awesome, and you are living out the absolute proof of that. I mean, I get so excited when I get to meet guys who are on mission with their life. And I just want to tell you, it's an honor to have you on the show today. And I want to remind our audience, make sure you get plugged into Dave and his organization. Do not forget to take this episode, share it with a veteran, share it with somebody who needs to hire a veteran, and start. And when you go for your search, and when you go to Google, now that you said this, I just thought about that, right? Because I always Google, whatever roofing or whatever it is that I need to find. Shame on me, but I never say veteran owned, But a personal mission of mine now going forward, if I'm looking for a service, veteran owned, and then the name of the service, right?
Absolutely.
Let's do what we can to try to hire these guys, put them into the workforce, and then get them plugged into a community so they can feel like they're part of that at the Houston Regional Veterans Chamber of Commerce. So again, thank you for your service.
You utilize our directory, our veteran business directory.
Oh, fantastic. So you have a directory there.
We have a veteran business directory that's continuing to grow, and also our veteran business interactive map. You can zoom in on Katy. You can zoom in on the Port of Houston. You can zoom in on Houston and see all the veteran-owned businesses. And so as you're traveling, going out throughout the city, you can utilize that map to find a restaurant.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So it's awesome. Just map.
That's so
putting
cool.
Veterans
I can go get a hamburger and I'm in Katy. I want to get a veteran-owned hamburger. Let's do it.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's unbelievable. So guys, make sure you check in, tune into that. And as always, you can connect to us at allianceportregion.com to continue to follow our shows and stay plugged in at the Gulf Coast Growth Show. Check in with us and stay tuned. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.